Welcome everyone. As you can see behind me, today we have a very special guide. And this guide, I'll show you guys the step-by-step method how to get all your gears, weapons and also gears to plus 15 with all your tier 2 weapons and also gears. So let's get into this video. And look behind me. So yeah, this is during my own attempts. I was so happy. That's me over there, right? So over here, you can see that I have written a lot of notes about getting your gears to plus 15. And I want to do this at the cheapest way. We'll look at the cost of those items in the market and also what you want to consider. What are you losing for buying those mats, or what are you losing for waiting? And also what to do after getting your gear after 12, what to do for weapons to plus 15, what to do for gears plus 15, and what items to use at what stage, and what is a hidden and also not told rate. So rates actually changes at 14 to 15. You must know this one. And after that, what can you expect, what happens with things, and how do I trade my items, and also what is my method and how does it work. I'll also give you guys some small tips at the end and also explaining some crucial factors like what happens when you fail and the bonus rate, and also how artisan energy works and how does this hidden rate might help you at tier 3. This does not help us much at tier 2 because this costs too much. So we talk about everything about upgrading, and I want to do this as cheap as possible for you guys. This might cost anywhere from 5,000 gold to 20,000 gold, depends on your budget, but we'll make it as cheap as possible by explaining those rates. We'll also be having a look at different rates of upgrading for different items, including the weapons and also the gears. So I have all the rates with me and I'll show you guys step by step how to do everything. Now before we get into this video, I do recommend having a look at two of our previous guide. One is how to make a lot of gold daily with free to play, and you do want quite a bit of gold for upgrading. And the second one is to get as much as tier 2 materials as you can. So do check out those two videos because they will help a lot as you use those materials. Now if we come over to my game over here, you can see that I have gotten all the items to plus 15 and also plus 14. I have collected all the materials I needed to get to plus 15 after today's reset, because I don't want to pay for my leapstones. I'll talk about this as well, because I can easily sell 18 of those for like 4,000 gold. And don't worry guys, I didn't spend too much gold. All of my gold is reinvested into the market with other materials. I'll talk about this as well in the next video. This is about maybe 10,000 gold worth here, and also in my inventory, I have reinvested. Now before we dive into our notes, it is very important you guys understand everything about the guide is based on the current market rate. And what I mean by that is, it is the cost of those items to upgrade materials in the market. Now depending on the time you watch this video and also the server pricing, this might be a little different, but the key rates and also concept will work for all of those upgrades no matter what stage you are and what time of the server it is. So over here, I have listed the today's market rate for those items we will be needing for upgrading, including Destruction Shard, Guardian Shard, Leapstone, which is very inflated at 170 gold, Harmony Pouches, which have crashed, they used to sell 200 gold, and also Myth Breath. This is pretty essential for the upgrades. There's also other items at plus 10% at the end of your upgrade, and I'll talk about using those as well, because as you can see over here, I have actually prepared 4 of those items. You don't need as many of those, and this can be much cheaper. And just to give you guys an example of how to using those prices in the market to compare your current value of materials. So let's say if I'm going weapon from 13 to 14, and fortunately I was able to find all the rates for all the weapons over here on Maxroll.gg. So from 13 to plus 14, this will be the 50% rate, and those are the materials we needed. And the essential materials we want to look at is going to be 1,200 red, 2,500 harmony, 38 leapstone, which sells for a lot in current market for my server, and together those materials is worth 6,000 gold in value. So this is when I would recommend using the Myth Breath to increase the rate. You can even consider using the Mental Array, but those are pretty expensive. Those do sell for about 2,500 gold even. So maybe it is not worth it using expected value from statistics, but we won't go into that. But for me, I couldn't afford a fail for losing 6,000 gold if I didn't go for the 10%. So I really wanted to boost my rate as much as I can. So I go 50%, 30%, 10%, which gives me, about 90%. But we'll talk about those in more details. What I want to show you guys is using the current price and also multiplying the cost of materials, which you can see over here. So 14 to plus, so from 13 to 14, it is the 50% one. So you want to understand how to do this yourself. This is how you can check the market and how much value your item's worth. Now, throughout this guide, I'll talk about methods of spending only about 5,000 gold to do this to plus 15. This will take a little longer time. For me, I'm currently using a method that might take about 20,000 gold because I have been, saving and farming and marketing a lot of gold each day because of, my guides, which I make over 5,000 gold a day, right? So with those guides, I was able to get a little more gold. You don't have to spend as much gold as me. And I also talk about waiting and also buying. So do you really have fun while you farm items, or do you really want to get to tier 3? And you want to compare those ideas as well. What about those items? What if I waited? And are you okay mentally if you failed? This is very important, guys. Games like this plays with your mind. And if you fail, you feel so bad. I don't want you guys to feel bad. So prepare mentally. Be okay that if you fail, just wait for one more day. And if it doesn't work, don't get too angry and don't get too frustrated. It's not good for our health. And I want you guys to stay healthy as well. Now finally, let's go through step by step of how I get my gears after plus 12, and also this method of strategy actually increases our rates after plus 13 because we'll be using a lot of radar materials. So for me, what I did for my weapon is, as you can see in the previous video behind me, for plus 14 to 15, I used 20 of the Myth Breath and also the Honing materials, the special one for 10 more %. So over here, I have outlaid basically the entire process of what I did with my weapons. I do think statistically, and also for me personally, this has the greatest success rate. So from 1 to 11 for upgrade, the minimal success rate is 70%. So up to plus 11 is 70%. And at this moment, I'm happy to stay on this and without using any items. I can use some Myth Breath on plus 11, but I probably don't need to. So for that, I didn't use anything. I just used a normal upgrade. Now from level 12, 13 onwards, I was using 20 of the Myth Breath. Now if you have a look at over here at the rates, we can see that this is about 70%, 60%. So if we start to use the Myth Breath, this will take us to 100% and also 90%. So at level 12 or 13, you get much better rate. You can, of course, to do this cheaper. So what you can do is you can go from 11 to 12 at 70% rate without using anything. Then for 13, use 20 of the Myth Breath. Now the next part is quite tricky. For 14 to 15, the rate actually changes. So let me explain to you guys what I mean by that. From level 13 to 14, each of the Myth Breath, oh gosh, I typed this wrong so badly, right? So each of the Myth Breath is 1.5% used. So by using 20 of those, you will get 30% bonus rate. But at 14 to 15, each of the Myth Breath you use is only 1%. And this only gives 20% by using 20 of those. So not many of us actually notice this, and this is a hidden rate that will dramatically affect your success rate. And this is why it's so important to use the mental ROI at 14 to 15. So just to show you guys a replay of what I mean by that. So if we have a look at over here, this is my tier 2 weapon. From 13 to 14, you can see that each of the Myth Breath will give me 1.5% bonus rate. And the Honing material will still give me 10% from 13 to 14. But if we come over here for 14 to 15, what you're going to notice is the Myth Breath now gives plus 1%, not 1.5% anymore. The Honing material still gives 10% over here with the purple one. So this is when the purple one is much more valuable because you don't get as much value from the Myth Breath, only 1% now. And this is why even using everything, you only have a 70% chance of succeeding, and if you fail, it's so costly. So that's why I was so happy when this worked on the first time with my weapon. And 70% rate is not high if you look at numbers. There's like 1 in 3 chance of failing. So those hidden rates are so important, and those will decide how we use each of those items. And because the rates for the Myth Breath will change once you get to 14 to 15, this is why it's more important to use those items while you get 1.5% bonus rate. And this is why I start to use them around level 13, 14, and then by 15, I will use one of the 10% mental ROI over here, because the 10% is so important. So as a summary for my weapon upgrade, for 1 to 11, I didn't use anything. For 12, I used some of the Myth Breath, maybe not 20, maybe I used only 10. And for level 13, I used 20 of the Myth Breath. And for 14, I actually used 20 of the Myth Breath and 1 mental ROI. This is a little costly. At the time, this was selling for 1,500 gold. But you don't have to use the mental ROI at level 14, so 13 to 14. You can definitely use this one once you go for level 15, because those two combined will only give you 70%. Now, one of the biggest highlights I want to tell you guys is that the upgrading of weapons actually costs a lot of life slipstone. And those leapstones are so expensive currently, and for the weapons it costs dramatically more than the gears. So what I do is I'll show you guys the gears. So notice that for a gear to go plus 14, you need 23 of the leapstone. To plus 15 you need 27. But if you come over here for weapons, plus 14 you need 38, plus 15 you need 45. And this is one of the reasons I'm using more of my Myth Breath and other materials, because currently leapstone is so expensive. Now coming over for my method for gears to plus 15. I'll be going from level 1 to 12 normally, and I won't be using any of the Myth Breath. And after 12, from 12 to 13, it is 60%. And this is when I actually consider using at least 10 of the Myth Breath. This will take us to 75%. If you want to be safe, you can use 20 of those. This will take you to 90%, but this will cost a little more, right? Because you have to do this 5 times. This is not like weapon. Weapon, you just do it once. For the gears, you have to do it 5 times for different pieces. Now as for 13 to 14, this will be a 50% rate. I strongly recommend using 20 of the Myth Breath, because at this moment, you still get 1.5% rate. So this is the 1.5% times 20. You still get the 1.5%. But when you go to 14 to 15, those rates are only 1% per Myth Breath. And this is when, at this moment, I use 20 of the Myth Breath. So at 12 to 13, I use about 10 of the Myth Breath for each of the gears to save some gold, right? Because those cost a lot. And finally, for 14 to 15, I'll use 20 of the Myth Breath and consider using the tailoring material. Again, you don't have to use the tailoring material, because they start to sell for about 1,000 to 1,500 gold. And if you were to buy all the tailoring material and also the mental oil over here I spent, this actually cost me about 10,000 gold. The Myth Breath I bought cost me about 10,000 gold. So together, my upgrade to everything to 15 will cost me about 20,000 gold. And you can see here I have prepared 4 of those for each of my gears. So my gears are 14, 14, 14, 14. Hopefully I don't need more of that. So after this video, likely I'll be attempting the gear upgrade once I have more free of the life leapstone from the daily quest. Now if you guys are on a budget, what I do recommend is consider using maybe 10 or 15 of the Myth Breath to get your rate at least over 75%. Because once you get over 75%, there's a better chance of you not failing. And once you get to 13 to 14, always consider using the 20 Myth Breath. Now for those friends out there who look at the expected values and also expected percentage of loss, the final cost of the 10% boost with the tailoring on the mental oil is a little more costly than expected. But for me personally, I couldn't afford to fail too much, because I still want to progress into the game a little faster. So for me, failing means I need to wait for 1 more day of the leapstones. Because as you can see guys in the higher rates over here, for the weapons, if you fail once, you need 45 of the leapstones. And for the gears, if you fail once, you need 27 of the leapstones. And this will take me another day of waiting. I didn't want to wait for too long. My goal is to get to tier 3 before the weekly reset. Now because my method requires me to have lots of Myth Breath and also tailoring material, this is why it costs about 20,000 gold. In order for you guys to save a little bit to not spend too much, we'll talk about this, make sure you check out our daily farming guide, and also make sure you consider using about 10 to 15 Myth Breath and maybe not using the mental oil. But if you can afford, I still recommend trying to get your rate as high as you can after level 13. I just realized my head is a little over there, so I moved myself back over here. so back to over here. Unfortunately guys, eventually you'll come across to a homing fail, and I just want to explain what happens when you fail. There's 2 things that happens. One is good for us, the other one not so much useful at level 2 with the tier 2 gears. I believe this is more useful at level 3. So once you fail, the base rate of your success rate will increase by 10%. So the base rate of this gear from, I believe this is from 13 to 14, I failed at 50%, so I get 5% more rate. You also see this number called Artisan's Energy. Now, my friends were asking me, what is this? And I had a look over here. This is basically a pity system. You have to fail at least 4 consecutive times to make this work. Because those energies, they don't come into play until you get energy to 100%. And each time I failed at 13 to 14, I only got 23%. So I have to fail about 4 times to make it work. Now, once this energy reaches 100%, you will be gaining 100% success on your next upgrade. But if you do succeed before this reaches 100%, you will go back to 0. So this is not useful. We don't expect to fail 4 times in a row, because that will be so costly, it's not worth it. But when will this become useful will be the next upgrading of the gears. So when we go to tier 3, the items that only have 5% success rate, and this is when those energy will become magical, because you can get 5% success rate into 100%. But currently, the only thing that helps us with when you fail is you get 10% more base rate. But because from 13 to 15, the base rate is only 5 to 4%, it is not a lot. So I still recommend following my strategies and also using the Myth Breath as you go. Now before we finish the video, I also want to give you guys a small hint. You do want to keep track of your tradables and non-tradable materials. What I mean by that is, if you look at my live Sleepstone, there's 47 that's tradable, there's 18 that is not tradable. What I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to get as much not tradable as I can, and I try to use those ones first. The game will automatically use those, but once you run out, you'll be using your tradable ones. But if you guys remember from our previous video, I was selling the live Sleepstone for about 200 gold each. So 18 of those is about 3,600 gold. So what I really don't want to do is, I don't want to use my tradable ones if I can. I'll try to avoid doing that. So how would you do this? You could put them in a storage. This doesn't work. The game will automatically use that. So I actually save those on my alt account. So this way it doesn't get used. Not alt account, alt characters. I keep saying this wrong. So I put them in the universal storage and give it to my alts. My alt character holds on to them while I use the non-tradable ones. And I can sell my Leapstones for about 3,000 to 4,000 gold each day as I go and farm them. Now this does delay my progress a little bit because I'm using the non-tradable ones from daily quest, but I'm saving a lot of gold for other progression and also trading in the market. Just be extra careful guys, there is a hidden rate change for the Myth Breath, so 1.5% to 1%, and this is one of the reasons you want the 10% bonus materials. And best of luck to everyone getting your gears upgraded, and remember guys, stay mentally strong, be prepared for failing, and just tell yourself, I don't mind playing an extra day on tier 2, I don't mind playing another 2 days, it's okay, just experience some content. Never guys, get into the mindset that everything is destroyed once you fail once or twice, because your weapons are still here, your gears are still here, it just takes 1 or 2 extra days. And of course, if you guys do have any questions, send a message on the comments, send me a message in the game, or even email me, I'll try to answer as much as I can. Now if you guys haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, make sure you do so, because we'll be getting a lot of guides, a lot of tips as I discover them, and I love the game, so I want to share as much as I can with you guys, and let's have a great time in Lost Ark as we explore this game and get the most out of it.